Would you recommend Roth conversion to someone if the analytics showed that the net present value of the taxes paid go up as part of the Roth conversion? Hi, I'm Nate. Welcome to Stratum, the most powerful tax projection and planning system on the planet. Let me show you an interesting case I came across where net present value taxes go up and the Roth conversion is a go. Here's why. Look at this scenario where I have a handful of strategies employed, including Roth conversion, but starting with some strict limiters on the withdrawals that I take from assets. Specifically, look right here at my tax-deferred accounts. Everything is limited to the 12% tax bracket. Now, look what that does. My assets projection, if I turn off the Roth conversion, looks like this. I end up with heavy amounts of tax deferred assets and quite a little bit of RMDs going on. Here's the more interesting play. The income is left slightly unfunded in spite of the fact that I have assets left over. Why does that happen? Because I've limited the withdrawals to never exceed the 12% tax bracket. And if I look at those taxes year over year, you can see exactly what happens. It gradually climbs until at some point I'm kind of forced to go over that bracket because of RMDs. Now, what happens when we introduce the Roth IRA? First of all, I level out my taxes because now I have other places to get the money. Secondly, my income is fully funded year over year, also leveled out. And my assets, the picture completely changes. Here's what's interesting. The asset balances with the Roth conversion at life expectancy are lower with Roth conversion than without. We're looking at a roughly $2 million life expectancy balance. If I turn off the Roth conversion, the life expectancy balance is $3 million. There's a full $1 million difference there. Now, recognize that's an apples to oranges comparison because the tax deferred assets don't necessarily entirely belong to me. Uncle Sam's still going to take his cut. But here's the bigger difference. Because I did the Roth conversion, my income target was met. As a result, I depleted more from the portfolio than I otherwise would have, which means I fully funded my lifestyle. Whereas without the Roth conversion, I did not. Let me say that again a different way. With the Roth conversion, I'm able to fully fund my lifestyle within the 12% tax bracket, whereas without the Roth conversion, 12% tax bracket is insufficient to fully fund the lifestyle. And here's where those summary metrics really hit home. Here's the incremental or marginal difference of that Roth conversion. Nominally, I saved $170,000 of taxes, but net present value, it cost me almost $13,000. That's of course because the taxes are paid up front. So the taxes later would be higher, but they're nominal dollars. So the net present value is actually a negative tax savings. But my income is increased by 2 million. Now some of that is trade-off because I decreased my RMD. So I've got 300,000 of nominal income or about 50,000 of net present value income higher than what I had without the Roth conversion. And as a result, my portfolio is down about $1 million. And here's maybe the last thing to look at. If I compare that main scenario, not to the installment sale, but to the no Roth conversion, notice the only difference here is that the Roth conversion is disabled. I can see in this overlay what the tax picture looks like with Roth conversion versus without. So with the Roth conversion, I have this fairly level gray line, and without it, it's a little more bumpy. You can see the deduction bunching kicking in there. And over time, my taxes gradually climb and get out of control, mostly because of RMDs. So you tell me, would you do a Roth conversion if the net present value tax savings is negative? There's a whole lot more here. Stay tuned. Thanks for being here.